right, let's give this a whirl. Sorry for my last video, everyone. That one, I re-looked at it and I was kind of lost my way. All right, get me framed in here. All right, well, we're finally here at the Four Rivers of Eden. And I think I've developed enough of a backdrop for us to move forward with the actual study of the Four Rivers. However, there's something that's hot off the press here that has just occurred to me within the last couple of days. And so this is still forming in my mind, but I want to provide it for you as an additional layer of understanding when considering the teaching of the Four Rivers that I'm about to present. And what I noticed in the last couple of days is that I can count four atoms. And I find that very interesting. Let me break that down a little bit for you. There's the atom that we all know and love in Genesis chapter 1. And that, I believe, is, well, I'll just speak to myself. That was the atom that I considered. I'm 60 years old now. That's the atom. That's the only atom I had in my mind up until this point within a few days ago. But as I've discussed this teaching, there's two creation narratives. There's the Genesis 1 creation narrative and there's the Genesis 2 creation narrative. These two creation narratives give us a perspective of creation from the viewpoint of Elohim within the time domain and Yod-He Vav-He Elohim from an eternal perspective. And so that the atoms that they present are going to be with an emphasis for each creation narrative. In other words, the atom that I've always thought of is Genesis 1 Adam. You know, that let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Male and female, he created them. That's the atom that I had always had in my mind up until just a few days ago when it occurred to me that there's Genesis chapter 1 Adam, but in addition to that, there's Genesis chapter 2 Adam with an emphasis, with a different focus and emphasis for each of the atoms. So I started to think on this. Okay, Genesis 1 Adam is clearly one atom. That's the atom that I've had in my head the whole time. But then Genesis chapter 2, which is much more subtle and mysterious of the two creation narratives, seems to present an additional 3 atoms. Okay, let's break that down for you. Genesis chapter 1, I am going to call doing Adam. Actually, put on the brakes. I find it interesting that I now see 4 different perspectives of Adam. Is that a coincidence that there are 4 rivers that are mentioned in Genesis chapter 2? Let's look at both of these things kind of in an overlay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Genesis chapter 1 Adam. I'm going to call him, this is terrible. I'm going to call him, all right, rats. Okay, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to call him doing Adam. Because he is obviously the atom that's created in the image and likeness of Elohim, the doing energy, the productive, the powerful energy of the Creator. Adam in Genesis chapter 1 is going to reflect image and likeness of the powerful, productive, ordered, judging Elohim. That is what Genesis 1 Adam looks like. Genesis 2 Adams are going to have additional nuance. When we consider Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim and the creation narrative from the perspective of not the doing energy of the Creator, but from the being energy of the Creator, we're going to find 3 additional Adams mentioned in this part of Scripture. Let me just go ahead and go there. The first Adam that we encounter in Genesis chapter 2, without going into my rant about where the verses should be, I'm just going to use what we have established and agreed upon. Genesis 2 verse 7, so that we can all get to the same page. And Yahovah, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim, formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Now, in verse 8, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put man whom he had formed. So our first encounter of Adam in Genesis chapter 2 has to do with the setting. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim created man of the dust of the earth, but he created him not of the dust of the garden. He created Adam of different substance than the special place that he had created for Adam to be in union with, to be, to hang out with, to enjoy relationship with. He created Adam of a substance that was made of a different realm. He took Adam that he had formed, he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and then he takes Adam and he brings him into the garden, this place of sharing. So this is our first introduction to Adam in the Genesis 2 narrative. So I am going to title this second Adam, I'm going to call him Barren Adam. What? What is this? What? This is wicked. Wicked. Okay. It sucks. Okay. All right. Oops, sorry about that. The reason why I'm going to call this Adam Barren Adam is because he has no possibility of reproducing in his own image and likeness. As we read forward in the Genesis 2 narrative, Adam still does not have a partner. He's the king of a realm, but he has no queen. So the possibility for production and fruitfulness is withheld from him. So I'm going to call him Barren Adam. Then we get to the 4 rivers of Genesis, and it's as if the first placement of Adam in the garden didn't even count. We get to Genesis 2 verse 15, then Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to tend and to keep. So we have Adam, from the perspective of Genesis chapter 2, we have Adam 1 of Genesis 2 being formed and put in the garden. We have 4 rivers. Then we have Adam 2 from the perspective of Genesis 2 for a second time being taken and placed in the garden. I'm going to call this Adam Lonely Adam. Sorry. I'm sorry if this is a terrible setup, but it's all I've got. Lonely Adam, the reason why I'm going to call him Lonely Adam is because he's lonely. And for the first time, we have a new order of evaluation from the perspective of the divine. In Genesis chapter 1, the evaluations and the things that God did in Genesis chapter 1, if you remember, is he evaluated the work of his hands every day and asked the question, did it hit the mark? Is it good? Has it found its place? And in each one of the days, with the exception of day number 2, another story, not going to go there, we find that the work of God's hands gets the evaluation of it is good, it is good, it is good, it is good, all the way up through day 7. In addition to evaluating, did it hit the mark? In addition to evaluating, he blesses on day 5 and 6 and 7. These 3 days get blessings. Day 7 gets not only the evaluation, but it gets set apart. It's a separate day. So you have evaluation, blessing, or set apartness, kadosh, holiness. In Genesis chapter 2, you get an entirely new category of evaluation, and that would be needs improvement. I'm not going to do away with it. It's just not finished yet. It's still a work in process. And the Hebrew for this is lo tov. Tov is good. Lo tov needs improvement. We can take this up a notch. So the first time we get an additional evaluation from the perspective of the divine in the evaluation of Adam in his lo tov state, in his needs improvement state. And the reason for that is it's lo tov that man dwells alone. It's not good enough. We need to form a partner suitable to him. And as we read, and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh took the man, put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and to keep it. And Yahovah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for the day you eat of it you shall surely die. And Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim said, it is lo tov. It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helper comparable to him. And out of the ground, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So we have Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh saying, it's not good that man should be alone. I'm going to make a helper comparable to him. And you would expect that the next thing that God would do would be to bring Eve to him. But he doesn't. He brings the beasts before him to find out if he's going to name any one of these beasts his life partner. No, it's not suitable. This is not what Adam is made of. He has an additional essence of God. And so we find Adam lonely for his queen, lonely for his bride. And so what happens next is a very unique word. It's called a tardema, and we in our English Bibles call that a deep sleep. So a deep sleep falls upon Adam, and Adam is fundamentally forever altered. And this is where I get my fourth Adam. I see barren Adam, I see lonely Adam, and the fourth Adam, I'm going to call him bridegroom Adam. These are 4 facets of humanity. These are the 4 facets. And the reason why I divide each one of these atoms up separately is because they're distinct from one another. Barren Adam and lonely Adam. Lonely Adam and bridegroom Adam. The 4 rivers divide barren Adam from lonely Adam. And then the tardema, the deep sleep, divides lonely Adam from bridegroom Adam. So I've been reflecting on this, and I'm going to cut the video off here, and hopefully you too will think on these divisions of the various atoms, because I see it. I see 4 distinct atoms. I see 4 rivers of life, and that is meaningful to me. I haven't worked out all the details of it. I would encourage anyone who views this video to consider these things as well and contribute in terms of the meaning, interpretation. These patterns are clearly here. I'm going to develop another level of this, but the 4 atoms of Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, hot off the press, just a couple of days old. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you consider these things and come back to our next video.